Adrian, how's your son doing? Oh, you're on mute. You're muted. There we go.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
He's good. He's, he's on campus. Like I said, he's coming out here because he's working now. He picked up another job. So he's doing his 15 units. He's working at the pizza place on weekends mainly. And then in between when he has time, he does DoorDash. And saving his money. And he's telling me he's staying on top of everything in school wise. And sometimes I'll call, how you doing? Doing homework. So I don't think he's really getting engaged on campus. That's what we really want, just because there's so limited options. He's going outside and he's doing other things. He's even joined a gym over here by home. So I'm like, when's the well gonna open and all this other stuff so he can stay on campus? So that's what we're hoping. And I'm sure you'll probably cover that a little bit about spring.
Well, I do have some updates, but I can't say that I have the update about the well that I would like to be giving you.
Uh-oh, we lost you.
Oh, can you hear me?
Oh, there we go. There's Mark. That's my husband. Hello.
Hey, Mark. Good to see you. Hi, Ingrid. Nice to see you. Welcome.
Hi, Ingrid.
So let's see. In terms of updates, I was just looking into this because I wanted to know what's happening with the well. And the well is still in virtual mode. So there's plenty of virtual programming, but it's not open for students at this time. Sacramento County, which of course, Adrian, you live here, you know this, but Ingrid, I don't know if your daughter knows this. Sacramento County just recently got kind of upgraded to the red zone, which means that restaurants have opened with indoor capacity at 25%. And gyms have opened. So it may not affect your students' campus experience. In fact, not much is going to change on campus right now. I haven't heard of any changes so far for this semester on campus. The well is virtual. But Ingrid, I don't know if your daughter it sounds like she's getting off campus a little bit and seeing people for coffee, you mentioned on the last meeting. So her experience off campus might change a little bit in Sacramento.
Yeah, she went, I think it was the area where there's apple farms or something on the weekend with the sorority.
Oh, I just went there too.
Yeah, so they took some pictures.
Awesome.
Yeah, that's cool because the ones down here unfortunately caught fire. So we can't, our apple farm is fried apples.
Oh,
this year. I know they had just advertised that we're open, we were spared, and then something happened and the wind shifted and one of the oldest ones, is done for. Yeah. So it was pretty sad. But it was nice on the exact same day. She sent pictures and like, I'm at the Apple Hill or something like that. And I'm like, good.
Apple Hill.
I said, bring me some cider around there. I can't get it down here. So.
Yeah, Apple Hill is a pretty extensive area up here where there's lots of farms where the people can go. So I'm really happy she got over there. I haven't been there yet. Adrian, you said you just went to Apple Hill kind of recently?
Yeah, just this weekend as well.
Oh, so she was there.
Yeah, it was really pretty. So
it was crowded, the long lines.
We went late.
Oh, okay.
So we started late, so we got in fine, had great parking and everything.
We'll have to talk through that.
A little iffy on the leaving because there was a lot of traffic coming out.
Yeah, okay.
So
I'll share that with her. Maybe she should go a little later.
Yeah, I mean, yeah.
During the week, everyone says go on a weekday. It's a little.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that was her cousin. She has a cousin that lives, what's it called? Elk Grove.
Yeah.
And that's where we usually go for Thanksgiving. And so she told her, if you have a weekday, I can drive up with you.
Mm-hmm. And I live in Elk Grove too.
Yeah, I thought I remember you saying that. Yeah, so that's why we always come up there for Thanksgiving. Well, this year we won't, but for the last, since Michelle was 2, actually, we've been coming to Elk
Right.
Grove for Thanksgiving to my cousins. So this will be the first year in a really long time that we haven't.
So, hi, Livia. Nice to see you on here. I wanted to give you a couple updates, and then I want to hear from you all and how, a little more detail on how your students are doing and if you're hearing anything about their virtual instruction. So a couple updates I wanted to give you is that last week, Sac State had an anti-racism convocation where we had a half day devoted to anti-racism, and we heard from a keynote speaker, Ibram X. Kendi, who wrote the book, How to Be an Anti-Racist. And he was our keynote speaker, and he had a conversation with our Vice President for Diversity and Inclusion, Dr. Diana Tate Vermeer. And the rest of the day was devoted to workshops where we could kind of explore anti-racism and how to be more effective and build better bridges and more sense of community and inclusion at Sac State. And it was really meaningful. So I guess the message I want to make sure you know is that Sac State is committed to being an anti-racist campus. And we have about, I think, 9 different task forces that we're going to be developing this year with staff and student involvement. And so that was pretty powerful experience.
Good.
Yeah. Another update I wanted to let you know is that last time we talked, there was some interest in having a virtual family weekend. And so we're going to work on that. We're going to target the weekend of November 13th to November 15th for virtual family weekend. And in terms of what that means, we're just in the planning stages, but basically it will be, for those of you who may not be on campus, it will be a weekend you could target going to Sac State. Of course you don't, coming up to Sacramento, of course you don't have to. We're working with the bookstore to create a package deal where you can buy parent swag at a discounted rate, and you can have a number of items in a package that you could buy that will be really cute for our virtual family weekend. Sac State parents, Sac State mom, Sac State dad. We'll provide a list of things that you can do, like photos that you could take with your child on campus, or different places and activities that might be fun to do in Sacramento and around campus with your student. And then on Saturday, between 3:30 and 5 on Saturday the 14th, we'll have a virtual mixer for parents. And it'll be kind of like this, but we'll have more focused activities where we'll get you into breakout rooms, and we'll talk about have you connect and do some mixers and do some icebreakers and get to know their parents, do fun activities. We'll encourage you to wear your Sac State gear. We'll encourage you to, make Sac State themed cupcakes that we can all show to everybody. And we'll hear from some leaders on campus. And it'll just be a way for parents to be involved and engaged virtually. And even if you can't make it, let's say you're visiting your student and you'd rather spend the time with them, people could watch the video later. And, we don't know how much engagement we'll get, but it's a fun excuse to get everybody together. So we'll have our parent ambassadors there. And I just wanted to give you a heads up that will be targeted for Saturday, November 14th. And then the weekend will be the November 13th through 15th.
Okay. That's cute.
Yeah,
I'd rather be there in person.
I know, we would rather, our reception is so fun. We usually get everyone together at Zocalo and we rent out the back patio, and it's just a big party on Friday night, which is awesome. But not this year. So
Just a funny story to add to that. My husband and I, when we went on campus, because we're so close, and we both went there and graduated from there. So we're all into it. So we're in the student store. You know, this is during when we moved in. And my husband and I are all getting Sac State Mom, alumni, and just grabbing stuff and using discount code and all this stuff. My son's like, oh my God, can you guys knock it off? Just, can we leave? And we're like trying to find a tree and all these places to do all these photos and stuff like that. It was just kind of funny because he was over us and we were
Yeah, they usually are.
a little bit more excited than he was.
it's not really for them. It's for it's for us. It's for you.
Yeah. And even though when they're over us, they like it, but they don't want to show they like us. You know, it's kind of weird how they are.
Yeah. And I have that kid who's not excited.
Yeah, mine's very low key. Like, come on, mom, really, mom, really. Like she said, why are you following Sac State on Instagram? I'm like, why not? Isn't that where you are? I might see you one day.
Hi, Phoebe. Nice to see you. How are you doing?
Sorry, I was late. Work calls. I was just wanted to follow up. So, Adrian, did you say there was a discount code for parents to use at the student bookstore?
My husband, I think I belong too, but we belong to alumni.
I see.
So he got like a discount for that. And then was there another discount we got for, remember we went to the bookstore and bought all that stuff? Why did we get a discount?
Because we're members of the Alumni Association.
Okay, we're members of the Alumni Association. So
that makes sense.
I don't know.
So Phoebe, after our conversation at the last town hall Zoom, I'm working with the bookstore to provide a package for parent gear for virtual family weekend, November 13th through 15th, and we'll get we should be able to get a discount code.
Okay, that's amazing. Thank you.
Yeah.
So we'll update our calendars.
Yeah, update your calendars. So there's a student, I wanted to put an event on your radar for your students. Coming up next week on Friday, October 16th and Saturday, October 17th, there is a California Student Leadership Conference that your students can attend if they want. There's a variety of activities and workshops, but the keynote speaker on Friday is Alicia Garza, the founder of Black Lives Matter. And that should be a pretty awesome keynote. So I'll find the registration link and I'll put it in the chat for you and for your students.
Is there a cost?
No, it's free.
Okay.
If you can share with your students, that would be awesome. There is an opportunity for them to volunteer if they want, but at this point, I think it would be better to just have them attend than to have them volunteer.
Okay. You'll get an email about this too.
They will, yeah. They will.
Okay.
So here's
the reminder, because he might not open it.
Yeah. It's like the leadership things that not leadership, the I already forgot, but at the beginning you were talking about the racial something that they had.
Convocation.
And so I don't know, because this is my first time, when I'm in admin, I'm thinking, well, the students go to all these things, but now I'm realizing, especially virtually, they're not engaged in these things the way that, like when it's on campus, often there's like snacks or food or something, so they're going to show up. Honestly, we know to lay out that little entry table of food to get students to attend. And virtually, I'm not sure what their incentive, or do they see it and say, yeah, that's just something else to do, because they don't realize that they're brand new to college, that this is something that is a benefit to being there.
Yeah.
So I can forward it to her all day long because I see it, And that's how she found out I was on Instagram, because I was forwarding her, well, look at this event, you should go, you know. ASI scholarships, oh, you should do this, you know. She's like, Mom, why are you following all these things on Instagram? You know, because I'm badgering her that this is an opportunity for you to attend things that a lot of people don't have the opportunity, because, and it's free, you know, to go. You don't, as a freshman, try to realize the value in it. But those are the things that you take away from college that are more than in the classroom. I mean, the things that you remember from college are things, just the living in a dorm situation was a big learning experience that you can't get anywhere else.
That's so true.
Things, I don't know how to sell them as something worthy, you know.
Ingrid, I think you're really right. Absolutely. Students go sometimes to the conferences and the events on campus just because they would be in the university union and they would be walking by, or they would have a friend say, oh, hey, let's go get some free food. And then they would kind of get wrapped up in the conference. Or maybe, you know, there's a lot of like visible marketing on campus, and people
right.
could
And they're
tell.
walking past it all day because they see
They're
it
walking
pop
past
up.
it.
Yeah.
So we've seen a decline in the last month, a pretty significant decline of students even opening their official CSUS emails. So like when school first started, there was a pretty significant open rate, and it's gone down to about 25% now, meaning that students aren't even opening the official messages from Sac State.
Yeah.
And so I think, you know, we think it's kind of an indicator that everyone's a little burned out. They're not going to be spending their time reading our official messages. But yeah, how do we promote these things? So I want to transition a little bit. I want to hear what you've been hearing from your students. I want to ask you, I guess, a couple things. How is virtual instruction going for your students? Are they hearing from their faculty? Are they basically having faculty who are responsive if they need it? I know some students have asynchronous classes, some students have synchronous classes. And then I also want to know, in the context of your interactions with Sac State, is there anything that you'd like me to pass along to our vice president or our president, our leadership? You know, you're here to tell us about your experience, and I want to make sure that we're passing that along in case there's anything we need to tell the higher ups. So, you know, we've got just a few people on today. I'll go ahead and we can do a round robin. Adrian, does your student talk to you about classes? Do you know how it's going?
A little bit. He says that it's super boring. I'm just going to give you the bare bones of what he said. You know, he's engaged. He's doing the best he can. So there, you know, he doesn't get real specific unless I ask him. I wish I would have. He just left for work, so else I could have just brought him in here and had him answer that. Yeah, we're just more on the fence on what approach to take next semester. So I know it's beyond his control, the vice principal or the vice president, whether or not you're going to open for the spring. But as far as the dorm life, where if it's going to be virtual again, there's just really no chance for us to stay in the dorms, because he's over here too much, because he's supplementing his experience back here at home with the job and the gym and the things he can't get on campus. He's just coming home and getting it here.
Yeah, and I
that
think
would be the only thing going back to the leadership team, but I don't think it's in their control.
you're right. Thank you for sharing that. Yeah, we will be virtual in the spring.
Who makes the decision for this distance learning,
Chancellor.
other than Gavin?
Basically, it's the chancellor and the board of trustees for the CSU.
Isn't there a new chancellor?
Come back over here.
Yes, there is a new chancellor.
And he starts when? When does he start? Like February or something?
I don't know when he starts.
Yeah. So by the time he starts, we're already in spring.
He has been the president at Fresno State.
Is there any chance that he would reverse that decision? that they
No.
can distance learning?
Zero chance.
Yeah, with the board of trustees, it's hard to.
When does the spring, okay, so my son, I guess the first year, bye-bye. The first year was automatic, registration, classes and all that stuff. That's still gonna happen?
No, so he will get, he will have to take an academic advising appointment with an academic advisor. Now he's emailed about this and it's supposed to be required, but the student does have to do something. They have to make the appointment, and they meet with an first year academic advisor who looks at their major and has a conversation with them about what classes are strategic to take, how many units they want to take, given what they may have going on in their life, right? If you're working full-time or you're working, we hope students aren't working more than 20 hours a week. But do they want to take 16 units, 14 units? And then they'll kind of select a schedule. They'll basically be encouraged to have their first choice schedule, like if everything worked out, and then option B and option C. So they still have strategic options to take in case their first choice classes are not available. And they will also have, and they should have that academic advising appointment I would recommend in the first 2 weeks of November, Adrian, in case you want to pass that along. That's just my advice, because when they get back from Thanksgiving, they're going to have just a couple weeks until finals.
Mm-hmm.
And they'll have to be registering for classes right around the same time as finals. And they get stressed and they don't want to be choosing classes in December.
Okay, and so he can go on his email, click on whatever email goes to that, and then get that process started.
He can. Now, will he? I guess what I'll do is I'll put in the chat the link to the academic advising website. And I would encourage him to just go ahead and make his appointment on his own without, don't worry about going into the email. And so here is the academic advising website, and you can see how easy it is. It's right here on the page. It's a schedule an appointment. And they click on this and they'll have to sign in through their single sign-on here.
Okay.
Okay, thank you, Adrian. Let's pop down to Ingrid. Ingrid, I know we've talked a lot about social concerns with your daughter, but I haven't heard much about classes. Have you? Is she talking to you about her classes?
She is. I think the only thing I guess she said about professors directly in a class that was supposed to be, and I might be mixing the terms, which everybody does, and so they do it so much that we can't tell the difference, but I think it's supposed to be asynchronous, but it's basically synchronous.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
I've heard about
that's
that.
just for one of the professors, but everyone else, she seems to be doing fine with them. As far as grades, she's doing really great. 99%, 100%. And for once, I can't even believe it. She took my advice that whenever they offer extra credit for anything, to do it, because in high school she'd say, yeah, but my grade's fine. Yeah, but my grade's fine. And I'm like, you never know if, one test, one quiz, one final could go wrong for you. I know you think you're all that, but, she thinks she's the smartest person in the world. It's always good to have those points there. If you get sick or something happens, you just don't know. Things happen. And so for once she said to me, well, the reason it stays at 100%, because I'm like, how can it be 100%? It's not even done yet. She says, well, I did all the extra credit stuff. I said, oh, did you? That's a good idea. So far, and I don't know if it's because she's locked in that room that the grades are, she's always had good grades. But I was worried with college and dorms and, but, and now the sorority, which is just like out of my realm. None of the colleges I attended had sororities. So it's something that I just have to watch from the side, and I have no advice for once. And she's probably like, Yay, my mom isn't the know-it-all about this thing. But yeah, with classes, like I said, the only one that she, kind of not complained, but she was like, why does he say, it's going to be there? And then all of a sudden, all we get is this recorded thing. And, she says, so, because she's like, I was happy I only had one of those. And now technically I have two. But of course, you show up because you think he's going to be here at this time. And then it's a recording. So
Okay.
that was her only frustration. But I'm sure that's happening everywhere.
It is. Is there anything that you want our leadership to be aware of, or that we should pass along about
I
your
think the main
experience?
thing, like with just some way to, because these things are virtual, what I mentioned at the onset of the meeting was, how to pique their interest in these amazing things that are happening on campus. I mean, I know that sounds like I'm asking you to babysit them, but just there's so much amazing things that happen on a college campus, and the knowledge that you receive from these things is so much. It's added value to whatever their major is, honestly, and I can't say it enough that here you guys go out and find a speaker, and it's the perfect speaker, and there's speakers that come there that in a million years they wouldn't be able to afford to go see them at a conference, and so I know what goes into trying to get the perfect speaker, someone that the students can relate to, but also faculty can hear and understand. And it just feels like a waste when those rooms aren't full, and that knowledge isn't going out. Take it personal because it was about racial things, but that knowledge isn't going out, and we need it so badly, and because I mean, a lot of times people just think they know, oh yeah, I don't do this or I don't do that, but then when you hear it, you say, oh, I do that, and without participating, they really are not experiencing how to relate to each other better, which will in turn help them in their careers and friendships and whatever. So just a way to engage them in these events that are happening that, like you said, they're not passing the signs as they walk around the commons or whatever you guys call it up there. And or like you said, friends, or having the open lawn area where someone's promoting it or handing them some. They don't have that now. So how do we engage them into attending these events? Like you said, one more thing online, So that's probably my biggest concern is not necessarily all the social stuff, but the learning things that they can take advantage of that someone went to the time to plan specifically for them, and they're missing out because they're not attending.
I have a question. After you're done talking to everyone, I have kind of a suggestion, but I want to talk about that after you've heard from everyone else.
Okay, thanks, Adrienne. Thank you, Ingrid. Mrs. Tyros, how is your students' virtual learning experience? Are they hearing from their faculty? And is there anything that you would like leadership to know about your experience with Sac State?
My son is actually doing quite well. However, the first month that we tried to reach out to a faculty, it took the email response was very prompt actually. The only thing is it took a while for us to know if he was admitted to the class, even though he was weighted number 1, or he's on the wait list for number 1. So I think that was the only thing. It just took longer than if it is done in person.
And was it about 2 weeks? How long was it?
Yeah, it took longer than that. It started the first week of August, and then the week of the first class, we still weren't able to get confirmation. And then finally, the following week, we were able to get in by the first part of the week. So it was a bit hairy for a while because we had to scramble and find out if he could get into another class, and which we had to, because we were informed that he wasn't able to get into that class that we waited for more than a month. And so we were able to look into other classes and other scheduled class, and we were able to get into a class that the professor was also teaching. So that worked out. It was a lot of logistic issue because we had to make sure we had his textbooks available for that second week. There were already, for that first week, there were already several readings um, and homeworks to be done. So he had to really cram them all, and just within one week, because they were due that second week. So that's the only thing. The lesson that we learned is that avoid being on a wait list. even though you're number one or number two, you have no you won't have any idea if you will get in. It's a much worse situation if it's online. I think it's better probably if it was in person, but that was our first time to be on a wait. That's the first time he's been on a wait list. But it worked out quite well. He's doing well in class. He's on top of things, and he concurred with the rest of the parents that he hoped and wished that it would be more done in person than online. It's a totally different experience for him, and it's probably more effective if it was done in person. But he's doing his best with whatever situation presented to him.
Okay, thank you. It sounds like he's doing really well despite
He's adapted.
challenges.
Yeah, I think the first semester was pretty chaotic because he's a very good student, and his grades actually was not very well. Was not good because of the chaos during the first semester. That last semester. But this time around, he's a little bit more organized, so that's good.
Okay, thank you, Mrs.
Yeah,
Terrace.
he's adapting.
How about you, Livia? How is your student doing academically? Are they hearing back from their faculty members? And is there anything that you would like us to pass along to leadership at Sac State about your experience?
Well, it's hard to extract any information. Like I feel like a dentist sometimes pulling it out. And just accidentally, she shared with me that she's already had a couple of Zoom conversations with the academic advisor. So she's kind of got some ideas floating around in her brain. But, again, that question's going to be, is she going to go there physically second semester? Because I think she feels very disappointed in the experience. And she tells me that her classes, when she shows up for them, they're supposed to be like real Zoom meetings, but they're just recordings. She said it's a YouTube video. So that's disappointing to her. And there's some kind of conflict with her math professor. He must have a strong personality because when talking to a couple of the other students, I can't remember what meeting that was. He was there. One of the students was a psychology major, and my daughter was going to do psychology, but now she's doing sociology. But he just was very dismissive, saying, "Oh, you don't need to take that. Those are pseudosciences." And she's kind of stumbling with the math. She said, I'm studying really hard and working really hard. I think I got it. And the midterm grade was disappointing to her. So I asked her to email him and reach out to him. And she's like, Mom, he just gives the overall impression that he doesn't care, that he just doesn't think that any of us are trying hard enough. And so I said, well, you know what? Just send the email anyway with what you need and how you feel, and just see what you get. So I am disappointed for her on the feeling of just watching a YouTube video. So this is the great experiment. I think we've talked about that a couple of parent meetings ago, and it might change for second semester. I don't even know she's going to go to Sac State and come home, or, or what we're doing. But all
Right.
the balls are in the air right now.
Sounds like a lot of those decisions are being thought over. And, interestingly, so Livia, I put a link to Virtual Math Lab in the chat where students can go get help on math. But I just have to share on this side of it. So we have our freshman who is, virtually attending Cal Poly from our house. And she's had kind of the opposite experience, I guess, right? She's here. She has some friends who moved from Northern California down to the Central Coast, and they're on the Cal Poly campus. It's the same sort of deal, but I think everyone kind of feels disappointed. The grass is greener. Like, everyone feels disappointed in their experience. So we're considering whether or not we're going to send her, or she's really considering if she wants to go to campus next semester. Cost is high, right? Return, the benefits are low, but there's this transition that happens in a human being's development where they don't want to put that on hold, right? They want to go and experience independence, and there's something different about not being under the same roof as the parents for the first time. So yeah, I hear you. It sounds like everyone's making those sorts of weighing the pros and cons of staying on campus versus coming home.
Well, her friends are, no matter what school they've gone to, her friends are struggling with the same issues. And then, sorry about my phone, my home phone. I have the last landline left in America, I think. The other thing is emails. I said, well, do you look at your emails? And she's like, Mom, there are hundreds of emails. How do you know which one's important?
Yeah, I do it every day.
I feel the same way sometimes.
If there was something really, really important, why don't they print it out and post it on the door, wherever she's telling me, but I'm like, I don't know what she's talking about. There must be a common area that they can all see it. And she said, and then, or if it was in a booklet, she goes, and then if that happened to me, 3 weeks after the fact, I could go, oh, let me look through my book and see if I've got that flyer. But yeah, she was just like, can't believe the amount of emails we get. And I get a fair amount myself, so I can imagine.
Okay, well, thank you for that. I appreciate that. Phoebe, how is school going for your students? Are they hearing back from their faculty? And is there anything from your experience that you'd like us to pass along to leadership?
So what I'm hearing is that he's doing fine in the classes. There's a little bit of kind of the Livia experience of, to get the information, you got to do your best to extract. But for the most part, he's saying things feel relatively easier. Easier than he thought it would be is one of the things he said, which was a little surprising. But, he also acknowledged maybe because it's just the start of the school year, maybe, things are getting eased into, that kind of thing. We've been encouraging him to participate in office hours, but don't know if he actually has. I have a sense that maybe he hasn't, just from his personality. But we just encourage him because we know that, those are important for relationships and recommendations later and all of that. So we'll just probably keep continuing to do that. I don't have a sense of the professors are reminding and offering. So maybe if they aren't, that might be just a good way to just kind of, keep encouraging folks or students to join them if they're not seeing students join them. I will say, I want to say he likes the interactive classes more than just watching recordings, obviously. And it's actually to the point where if there's a fun or interesting moment, he'll screenshot and then send us a text with it. So that's kind of a nice thing to see those things. On the laptop side, I want to say that one of the things that he hasn't heard from or heard about, and he's just doesn't have the initiative to keep following up, is since he's a film major, we suggested that it might make sense for him to, even though he has a laptop with him, a personal laptop, that maybe he may want to request a school laptop that has a, stronger processor and the programs pre-installed and all of that. So he did get the, I guess, or he did request that the professor send the email to the IT group. And I think he said he saw that it was there, but he hasn't heard anything back as far as picking up the laptop. So I don't know if you might be aware of, maybe there's something going on with that, or if he just needs to take the initiative and follow up. But so far, I think to your point about just living independently, even though it's weird and probably lonely in a lot of ways, I think he does prefer being up there than in our noisy household down here. He wouldn't be able to focus. I will say thank you for your suggestion a few weeks ago. But I think you mentioned that now is around the time, especially those that are first moving out of home, where they may be homesick but not really acknowledging it. So we actually did visit last weekend. Just spent the Sunday, took him around, went out to eat, that kind of stuff, and you could tell that he really enjoyed being with the family. Like it just so happened, I guess some restaurants have opened up to 25%. So like we did the Korean barbecue down the street, which had good ventilation and didn't have people sitting too close to each other. And he was just talking a lot, which we're not used to. And he was telling us about, different interactions. So that was just nice to see. And we were glad that we made it out when we did. And then now we have the virtual weekend to plan around too. So thanks for that.
Awesome. Thanks, Phoebe. In terms of, that's really cool that he was talking a lot. I mean, I know what you're saying, that we're not used to hearing them talk a lot, and then suddenly here you get all this information. And I also love hearing that he screenshots fun moments in class and sends that to you. The world is weird now, but that's great because
right,
he's
couldn't do that
engaged.
otherwise, right? Can you imagine being in an actual lecture and whipping your phone out and taking a picture and then sending your parents? You couldn't do that, so that was kind of cool.
Oh, cool. Haley, I have a comment. This is Mrs. Tyrus.
Hey,
I do
Mrs.
have
Tyrus, hold on just one moment. I wanted to follow up on Phoebe's comment with one thing about the laptop. So I have a question and a comment. My question is, has he seen the professor send the email? Like, does he have proof that the professor sent the email? Because sometimes I think they may not know how to request the
right.
laptop.
I think he said yes. I can confirm with him, but I think the reason why he thinks, well, at least the reason I think he knows it's done, is it was the professor that kind of reminded the students that they can do that. So, and said, send me an email if you need this, that, or the other, which he did. So I'm pretty sure that the professor was aware of what they needed to do.
Okay, and typically the student will get an email. It can take 2 weeks. That's about the longest I've seen it take, is 2 weeks. And it comes from IRT, Information Resources and Technology. So if your student is getting hundreds of emails, they may say like, but the subject line is usually quite clear. It will say laptop request. So he can follow up with IRT. They are actually there on Mondays and Thursdays in person.
Okay. I mean, assuming he'd have to pick it up anyway, I mean, it doesn't hurt to do that. And there was one last point that I just meant to make. I'm sorry, Mrs. Tyrus, but one of the things that I get the sense of, mainly because he's a little introverted, is that even though we've just been encouraging him, walk around campus, so, with your mask on or whatever, and explore, I don't think he's really doing it. So to the extent that, I don't know if residential services or, some group, if they can do a small group, kind of just walking around and just reminding them, because it's been a while since we took the tour when he before he applied. So that might be just a fun way to get kids together, get them moving, and then also reacquaint themselves with the campus instead of just in the dorm and the cafeteria 24/7.
That's a great suggestion. I'll pass that along.
Okay.
Thank you, Phoebe. Mrs. Tyrus, what's up? Sorry about that.
Oh, I do want to commend the professors. Whenever my son would email them, they promptly email him back, which is very nice. So that was one thing that I noted. So kudos to them. And there are some professors that send out reminders if, for example, for homework or essays that are due in certain days and they haven't received them in a day or two prior to the due date, they send reminders, which I thought was very nice. very nice. Was showing it to me, so that was nice. And yes, the recording. I would suggest if maybe they can sometimes break it with in person, not in person, but visual meeting. Or synchronous meeting once in a while so that there's still that touch, that personal touch, rather than just a constant recording. So that's, but um, majority, the professors had been very prompt in their communication or response to to his email. So that's nice.
Okay, good. I'm happy to hear that. Well, thanks for that suggestion. Adrian, I know you had a suggestion you wanted to make.
Well, this was kind of along the lines of earlier when we were talking about reading the emails, because I don't know if you have other helicopter parents on here, but I'm tapped into my son's account. You know how you have a parent in to get into. That was a lot to try to figure out how to do and have that separate sign on. So I just sign on to my son's and I can see the emails that he has not opened. I don't open them because then he won't see that initial, but I'll just send him a friendly text. Hey, have you been going through your emails? So then I remember it's there because I worked with the elementary school when the principal would send an email out to the parents and they can tell if they've opened them. They'll ask a couple questions at the bottom, like little incentive. Hey, if you answer these questions and send it back, then you get this, or you get in a drawing or something like that. I know that's a lot of work, but it just reminded me of that. Maybe as an incentive for the students to open the emails, maybe they'll have a couple questions at the bottom that refers to whether or not they've read it, and maybe they can have some bucks towards the student store or something like that. I don't know if that's something that they can implement, but it just was a thought to get them, because my son, he's motivated by stuff like that. So he might read the email just to get the information, whether or not they care or not. They've read it enough because they've read it because they know they might get something out of it. And that's in a student's mind. So that was my first thing. And my second question was, are they thinking about cost incentives as far as, because you might lose students because now that spring is, going to be virtual, you will probably for sure get students who are not going to stay on campus for that reason. And, me being so close, it just doesn't make sense for us. But we still like the independence. But are they maybe cost incentives, maybe a discount, or and as far as registration too, because they're not getting the full college experience? Have that been discussed at all?
So I can't speak to the first item you're talking about is a discount for living on campus. Is that right? And then the second item
Yes.
is a discount for tuition and fees.
For registration, both. Yeah.
So I can't say about the living situation if there's been a discussion there. I do know that the applications are open for spring, and I imagine the cost is going to be similar. I can speculate all day long, but I'll just say, I don't know. Let me look into it. I imagine no. And part of the reason is because the capacity is smaller, but the sort of like the biggest problem in housing right now is debt service. So like the existing bonds that were taken out to build the buildings at Sac State, those payments still have to be made, and they're already taking a really huge loss.
Gotcha.
But I see what you're saying. If we could incentivize more people to live there.
If I get a discount, maybe we'll stay.
Yeah.
Yeah, because we're talking about her moving in with my aunt or one of the cousins. I mean, we have like 5 homes up there of family and friends that are saying she'll still be close to school if she can, be with her sorority people or whatever, but you're not paying for a dorm.
Right.
Yeah.
Especially since
So it's either all or nothing.
yourself.
So,
like
let me ask. I think the answer is no, but it's worth asking.
Yeah.
The second thing is about tuition. And so that's a system-wide decision. Like there are 23 CSUs. And so individual campuses don't make their own choices. It's a decision made by the CSU Board of Trustees. And I did look into this because I get a lot of questions about it. And basically the decision at this point in time, right? We are going to get a new chancellor. Don't know what might be different there, but this is the Board of Trustees, so it's not the chancellor. They say that the number one cost is tied to instruction, which is people. Like our biggest cost in the CSU is people's salaries and benefits. And they did offer an early retirement incentive program to try to avoid doing layoffs. We haven't done layoffs or furloughs yet, but I think that some of us are preparing for that for next year.
Yeah, starting January. That's why I was like, she needs to get out of the dorm. I'm not going to be able to afford it. I'm going to get laid off.
Yeah. And so the people, the staff and the instructors haven't really changed that much. And that's the biggest part of the tuition cost.
Okay.
Now the fees, I don't think it's any surprise or secret that there are multiple lawsuits across the country about student fees right now in a virtual environment. And I don't know a lot about those lawsuits. I just know that they're not resolved and they're ongoing, and they're not just not just in California, they're kind of everywhere.
Yeah, because the Texas universities, they cut some fees just so that they wouldn't be involved in that, the whole lawsuit situation. They're just like, you know what, we're going to cut fees. Like, speaking of orientation, how much more money would have been spent had they been on campus orientation rather than, getting a bag in the mail, or whatever. There would have been food, there would have been activities, there would have been people coming at the price of the same.
What university was that? Did you say your campus, Ingrid?
No, in Texas.
Oh, okay.
The Texas A&M system.
Okay.
Yeah, they gave incentives and cut prices on things because, their students went virtual at the end of the year last year. Now, I think some of those fees have gone back up because they're allowing people to attend classes physically for the fall. But at the end of the year last year, when things kind of dropped off, they put credits to the students' accounts. But
So
Texas, we're California.
Yeah. So Adrienne, that's where we're at, which is kind of like the information we have now is we're planning to be virtual in the spring, just like we are now. The campus living situation won't change much. And the cost probably won't change. So I hear you trying to adapt to make it work.
I am.
Yeah.
But that's the experience right now.
Okay.
When you mentioned logging in on your students thing, I log in on, that's how I've been paying her tuition, is I log in on her student center. And then this month when I went to log in, they have the Duo login. And so I couldn't get in to pay her tuition. I was like, oh, well, there must be another way because I know they want me to pay tuition. So
Add your phone number to that Duo.
Yeah, because I have my campus one on there. So I was like, I want to add something else to my phone.
I have a parent login, but I think my son needed to do the FERPA release in order for me to be able to register for that.
Those are actually separate, the FERPA and
because I don't want to know
student.
the other stuff she'll tell me, but
Okay. Well, somehow I'm able to have my own login for the student account.
yeah, I was sent a link because I emailed to Haley's office and someone sent me a link of another way. I haven't tried it yet because she and I just got on the phone and we did the Duo and she told me the number, and I paid the tuition, but I just thought for next month I'll go to that link that I was given and see what I can work out. But I just thought that was kind of funny. You're like, oh, I'm in. I have this way to do this. It's so much easier. My account's there. Bink pay. No, I'm like, oh, new way. So anyway.
All right, everyone. Well, thanks so much for joining. Nice to see you. I'm glad to hear that one of your students got up to Apple Hill. If anybody else has a student who can make it up to Apple Hill, tell them to go on a weekday and to go earlier. And thank you so much for joining. So, I might be reaching out to you after this individually to talk with you a little bit about our virtual family weekend and just see if you have any ideas or, see what you think about what we're working on.
Okay. Thank you.
Thanks for your
When you
time.
when we come back again in 2 weeks, could you come armed with information on like when's the day that I can tell her to get on an airplane and come home for Thanksgiving? Because it seems like it's a little fluid. It could be 4 days, maybe it's 4.5 days that she gets on.
Well, so I can tell you the official date. The
Yeah.
official date would be Wednesday, November 25th.
Okay.
Now, it's up to and then she would need to be back for classes on Monday, November 30th.
Okay. So she has to figure out if she has any classes on the 24th or not,
Right, and that
and
is
how late
usually,
they are.
yes, that's usually up to the individual faculty member. And actually, Wednesday, the 25th, is an instruction day as well.
Mhm.
So it would be, after classes are done on Wednesday. Now, often what we see at Sac State is professors themselves don't want to have class, so they'll cancel class that week. But it's, sometimes something happens where like the Monday professors cancel class, the Tuesday professors cancel class, and that Wednesday 4 p.m. person still has their class. So
Yeah.
Well, they're virtual, so she can do it on.
Yeah, your virtual
plane.
shouldn't matter that much.
yeah,
Exactly.
that's true.
Do it on the plane.
True.
Do it at home. Do it in the car.
Mhm.
I mean, if they're going to cancel Monday and Tuesday, also, I'll have her come home over the weekend.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know,
So
the previous weekend.
yeah, so that's
Okay.
something
Oh, I
to
see.
think about.
All right. Thank you.
Yeah, officially though, classes are held
On Wednesday.
Tuesday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday that week. They'll be held the 23rd, the 24th, and the 25th. I have a calendar over there, which is why I'm looking at it.
Okay.
Sure.
Oh, and then maybe another idea, potential idea for discussion at the next one. Voting this year. My kids turn 18 the day before voting day, so they didn't get like mail-in ballots. We're actually planning to drive them home, make them, help them vote, and then kind of bring them back to campus. But it would just be curious to hear what efforts Sacramento State has around supporting that for their students.
Yeah, I would love to talk about that. There are huge efforts, multifaceted and very visible, both
Good.
on the physical campus and virtually. So yes.
Great to hear. Thank you. We'll see you guys next time.
Bye, everybody.
Bye-bye.
Thanks. Bye.
Thanks, Haley.